Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've only got 30 seconds. The Prime Minister has stated very clearly that he wants to close the migrant hotels by the end of this Parliament. Well, the reform-led West Northamptonshire Council, brilliantly led council, will be issuing foreclosure notices on 3 migrant hotels within the next few days in response to grave public concern about the safety of women and girls on the streets of West Northamptonshire. Would the Prime Minister approve of us speeding up the closure of the migrant hotels?
Mr. Speaker, we will correct the mess we inherited and close every hotel. But he says he doesn't have time to condemn the comments calling children in care evil. He's also not had the time, it appears, to condemn the racist comments of his own MP. Utterly spineless.
The Commons chamber exploded in chaos. What started as a routine Prime Minister's question session quickly spiralled into an unforgettable political meltdown. Keir Starmer's sharp accusation against the Reform Party as racist sent shockwaves through Parliament and triggered a furious reaction from Nigel Farage that no one saw coming. The atmosphere turned electric as the 2 political heavyweights clashed on live TV, leaving the nation watching in stunned silence. This was more than just politics. It was a raw, explosive confrontation that could reshape Britain's political landscape forever. The tension was palpable as Prime Minister's questions began, with MPs settling in for what many expected to be another day of fiery debate. But within minutes, Starmer changed the game. His words were carefully chosen but carried a heavy blow, accusing the Reform Party of fostering racism within its ranks. The chamber fell into stunned silence for a moment. This wasn't just political criticism, it was a direct, serious allegation that struck at the heart of Reform's reputation. Suddenly, Nigel Farage was on his feet, his face flushed with anger and disbelief. His eruption was loud, immediate, and impossible to ignore. The Speaker's attempts to restore order were drowned out by the roar of voices rising in heated argument. Farage demanded a retraction and accused Starmer of weaponising language to divide the nation. The clash was not just about words, it was about identity, trust and the future direction of British politics. As the shouting intensified, MPs on both sides took their stances. Reform members shouted back, defending their party fiercely and accusing Starmer of trying to silence opposition voices. Labour supporters argued that calling out racism was a necessary step in cleaning up politics. The shouting, the interruptions and the dramatic gestures filled the chamber with a chaotic energy rarely seen at PMQs. The confrontation quickly dominated social media, with millions watching and debating in real time, many questioning where this aggressive political warfare would lead. Starmer tried to regain control, insisting that his comments were about holding parties accountable for their policies and statements. But the damage was done. Farage's explosive reaction had captured headlines, and the media outlets seized on the moment as a turning point in the bitter rivalry between these 2 political figures. The debate moved beyond the chamber, spilling into public discourse and igniting passionate arguments nationwide about free speech, political correctness and the limits of criticism. The unrest inside Parliament mirrored the growing divide outside. Supporters of both sides rallied online, turning the confrontation into a symbol of wider cultural and political battles gripping the country. As the session dragged on, it became clear that this moment would not be forgotten anytime soon. What began as a pointed accusation had exploded into a defining clash, a dramatic showdown with consequences that could echo through the coming elections. The aftermath of the explosive exchange echoed long after the cameras stopped rolling. Nigel Farage's fiery reaction was the headline, but the deeper consequences rippled through every corner of British politics. Behind the scenes, senior members of both Labour and Reform were scrambling to assess the fallout. Starmer's choice to use such a powerful word had divided opinion sharply, even among his own allies. Some praised his boldness for calling out what they saw as unacceptable rhetoric, while others worried that the move had backfired, alienating voters and hardening political divisions. Farage, meanwhile, was riding a wave of renewed support. His supporters saw his eruption as a sign of strength, someone willing to stand up to what they described as unfair attacks and political correctness run wild. Social media exploded with clips of his passionate defence, turning him into a rallying figure for those frustrated with the political establishment. The Reform Party's profile surged, capitalising on the moment to push their message to a wider audience. But the intense spotlight also brought scrutiny, forcing Farage and his team to carefully navigate the fine line between defiance and controversy. Public reaction was equally intense. Across the country, citizens debated the meaning and impact of the confrontation. Was Starmer right to call out reform as racist, or was this an unfair attack designed to score political points? Supporters of free speech expressed concern about the increasing use of such serious accusations in political battles, fearing it might silence honest debate. Others insisted that calling out racism and intolerance was essential for progress and justice. The episode became a flashpoint in the ongoing culture wars gripping Britain, reflecting deep divisions over identity, belonging, and the boundaries of acceptable discourse. Within Parliament, the tension remained high. The Speaker's efforts to keep order during PMQs were praised, but seen as only a temporary fix. Many MPs on both sides knew that the clash had changed the tone of parliamentary debate, making future sessions potentially more volatile and unpredictable. The fragile balance of power felt more fragile than ever, with some insiders whispering about the long-term risk to party unity and leadership stability. For Starmer, the challenge was clear: to maintain authority and credibility in the face of growing opposition and a politically charged atmosphere. As night fell on Westminster, the political landscape seemed more uncertain than ever. The explosive moment between Starmer and Farage had lit a fire that no one could easily extinguish. With elections looming and the country deeply divided, the question hanging in the air was whether this dramatic showdown was just the beginning, or a turning point that would shape British politics for years to come.